The muffled sound of a thump in the presidential suite of the Savoy Hotel made Clara Mendez stop abruptly in the hallway. She was pushing her cleaning cart, already accustomed to the luxurious silence that permeated that exclusive floor, but something about that sound seemed off. She rapped on the door with her knuckles, hesitating for a moment. "Sir, is everything okay in there?" he asked, adjusting his apron. When there was no response, he knocked again, this time with more force. "Don't make me break down that door. I'm not strong enough for that, but the manager won't like it." Still nothing. Clara sighed and took the master key out of her pocket, turning it in the lock. As soon as the door opened, his eyes widened when he saw the man lying on the floor, his face pale and covered in sweat. Tycoon Leonardo Vasconcelos, the powerful founder of one of the largest technology companies in the world, appeared to be on the verge of death. "Oh my God!" Clara exclaimed, as her training as a nurse activated automatically. She rushed to his side, crouching down to check his pulse, weak and irregular. He was breathing, but with difficulty. His mind was spinning, reliving years of working in emergencies in Brazil. Clara knew what to do. "Okay, big guy, let's save your life full of meetings and jets." He unbuttoned Leonardo's shirt with precision, revealing his chest, and began chest compressions. 1, 2, 3. "Don't give up now, man. You must have a jet to pay for tomorrow, don't you?" She continued the procedure with the dexterity she had acquired in her previous life as a nurse. The rhythm was exact. After 30 compressions, he tilted his head back, opening his airway, and began mouth-to-mouth breathing. "You won't die here, Leonardo Vasconcelos. Don't even think about it." Clara grunted between compressions, her arms starting to hurt, but her determination growing. Minutes felt like hours, until she heard the distant sound of sirens. Adrenaline kept her moving, but her heart was racing. For a moment, she thought about the absurdity of the situation. Here she was, a chambermaid with a nursing degree, saving a billionaire in the middle of a luxury suite. When paramedics finally arrived, Clara stepped aside, allowing them to take control. One of them turned to her with a respectful smile. "You saved his life. Without his quick actions, he wouldn't have made it through." Clara just nodded, exhausted. He watched as the paramedics placed Leonardo on a stretcher and carried him out of the suite. With shaky legs, she looked around, seeing the surroundings spotless, except for one man who now had a second chance. She muttered to herself, "And I just wanted to finish my shift in peace." Leonardo Vasconcelos opened his eyes slowly, blinking against the hospital's fluorescent lights. The feeling was strange. He, always in control of everything, was lying down, vulnerable and connected to machines that monitored his every heartbeat. He tried to get up, but a pain in his chest stopped him. A nurse appeared at his side. "Mr. Vasconcelos, please don't move. You've had a serious event," she said, adjusting the cables on the heart monitor. He frowned. "Serious? What happened?" he asked, his voice hoarse. "A heart attack. You are very lucky. Someone at the hotel started resuscitation before we arrived. This saved his life." Leonardo blinked, confused. "Who did this? Anyone from the board, or some important guest?" The nurse gave a slight smile. "No, it was a maid." He raised an eyebrow in disbelief. "A maid?" he repeated, as if the word were a foreign concept. "That's right. She was quick and accurate. You were lucky." Leonardo lay back on the pillow, absorbing the information. It was hard to imagine a cleaning worker saving his life. He, who trusted only renowned doctors, now owed his survival to a stranger in an apron. Meanwhile, Clara Mendez, still in her hotel uniform, was in the hospital lobby. She didn't plan on going in or being seen. She just wanted to make sure the man whose life she saved was okay. Sitting on a bench, she observed the movement around her, while thinking about her decision to remain anonymous. He's fine. That's what matters. she muttered to herself, straightening a strand of hair. But something bothered her. As much as she wanted to avoid recognition, she felt the need to see him, even if from afar. It was like he needed closure. The next day, Leonardo returned to the hotel, still dejected, but with his usual posture of superiority. He stopped at reception to adjust his stay when Clara, pushing her cleaning cart, passed through the lobby. She tried not to look at him, but her heart skipped a beat. Leonardo noticed her presence, but he wasn't sure why he felt something familiar about her. There was something in his manner that caught his attention. "Excuse me," Leonardo called, surprising even himself. Clara stopped, turning slowly. "Yes, sir?" He hesitated, trying to organize his thoughts. "You look familiar. Have we seen each other before?" Clara held back her laughter, but responded with characteristic calm. "Of course, sir. I'm the one who cleans up your mess, literally." Leonardo was speechless for a moment, just watching her before shaking his head. "I understand. Thank you." Clara nodded and continued on her way, without realizing how intrigued her simplicity left him. Leonardo watched Clara from afar, his curiosity increasing with each interaction. Something about her bothered and intrigued him at the same time. He couldn't explain it, but there was something about her calm, determined stance that challenged him in a way few people did. It was rare for someone to cross his path without seeming intimidated. That afternoon, while Clara was changing the bed linen in another suite, Leonardo appeared at the door. He crossed his arms and, with a tone of false casualness, asked, "Do you always work with such determination?" Clara looked up quickly, trying to hide her surprise, but she couldn't help but smile slightly. "Determination," she repeated, folding the sheets. "This is just practice. After all, these rooms don't clean themselves." He stepped forward, assessing her with a penetrating gaze. "There's something about you that makes me think this isn't all you've ever done in your life. You look different." Clara kept her smile, but her stomach was churning. He was starting to connect the dots, even if he didn't know exactly why. "Maybe I just have a special talent for making beds, Mr. Vasconcelos," she said, deliberately vague. Leonardo narrowed his eyes, but didn't insist. Something about her scent awakened a distant memory, a scent he couldn't quite identify, but it was comforting. He later decided to investigate further. Sitting in his suite, he logged into the hotel's camera system, one of the perks of being a regular guest with so much power over the place. He began reviewing files from the day of the heart attack, adjusting the timeline to the exact moment he had lost consciousness. The recording showed Clara entering the suite, checking her pulse and immediately starting resuscitation. He watched every movement, every gesture, as she fought against time to save him. Finally, the video showed the paramedics arriving and Clara leaving the room with her face tense and her hands shaking. Leonardo paused the video and stared at the screen, his mind spinning. The woman he had treated with disdain was the reason he was still alive. The next morning, Leonardo found Clara in the hallway as she was pushing her cart. He stopped before her, his expression softer than usual. "I saw what you did for me," he said. Clara blinked, trying to hide her nervousness. "What do you mean?" "There's no need to pretend. Cameras don't lie." Clara swallowed hard, but maintained her composure. "I wasn't expecting thanks, if that's what you want to know." Leonardo gave a restrained smile. "Maybe you didn't expect them, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve them." Leonardo spent the night awake. Watching the recording of Clara saving his life had stirred something inside him, a mixture of gratitude and discomfort. It was humbling to realize that someone he considered inferior had done more for him than anyone in his life. However, it was also undeniable that it made him see Clara in a completely new way. The next morning, Leonardo went to the hallway where Clara worked. He found her cleaning the glass on one of the windows as part of her usual routine. She seemed focused, but upon noticing his presence, she turned around cautiously. "Did you come to inspect the cleanliness?" Clara asked, her tone full of sarcasm. "Actually, I came to thank you," he responded directly, catching her off guard. Clara dropped the cloth and crossed her arms, assessing him. "To thank? I thought it wasn't something in your repertoire, Mr. Vasconcelos." Leonardo took a deep breath, fighting the urge to retort arrogantly. He was determined to have a sincere conversation. "It's not something I do often, I admit. But that doesn't mean I don't recognize what you did for me. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here." Clara stared at him for a few seconds before responding. "I just did what anyone would do. You don't need to turn it into something big." "No," he shook his head. "It wasn't what anyone would do. You went above and beyond what was expected. And I was an idiot." "Well, we agree on that." She gave a short but genuine smile. Leonardo smiled back, but there was something in his expression that Clara couldn't decipher. He hesitated for a moment before continuing. "Why didn't you say anything? You could have used that to your advantage. I don't know. Maybe to ask for a promotion or something." Clara laughed, a light, unexpected sound. "Because I didn't do it for advantage, Mr. Vasconcelos. I did it because it was right. Just that. And that's why I feel even worse about how I acted towards you." Leonardo lowered his gaze, something he rarely did. "I'm not used to owing someone something, especially someone I treated so badly." Clara sighed, softening her tone. "Everyone deserves a second chance, even you." Leonardo looked at her, surprised by the answer. The simplicity and depth of her words disarmed him. He realized that Clara was not just an employee. She was someone who carried strength, integrity, and wisdom in every gesture. "You're a better person than I imagined," he admitted, taking a step back. "I hope that someday I can repay you for what you did for me." Clara just nodded, her expression calm as always. "Take good care of your life. That will be enough." As Leonardo walked away, he knew something had changed forever. He had a lot to learn, and for the first time in years, he was willing to try. Leonardo couldn't get Clara out of his head. Since the conversation in the hallway, everything in his life seemed to have changed tone. He, who had always thought about efficiency and results, now found himself contemplating something much more human: compassion. Clara's impact made him realize the emptiness he had always ignored. That afternoon he met her again, this time in the hotel lobby. Clara was pushing her cleaning cart as usual, but stopped when she noticed Leonardo standing in her way. He looked different, more relaxed but also visibly nervous. "Ah, you again," said Clara, arching an eyebrow. "What is it now? Forgot another thank you?" Leonardo smirked, shaking his head. "No, this time it's something different. I want to make you a proposal." Clara snorted, crossing her arms. "Look, if it's about promoting me to hotel manager, I don't think that's in your hands." Leonardo laughed softly, a rare sound that surprised even him. "It's nothing like that. It's something more personal." Clara frowned, now genuinely curious. "Okay, then speak up. My shift isn't over yet, and I have more rooms to clean." Leonardo took a deep breath before releasing the words. "I want you to come with me. Not as a maid or anything else. I want you to be by my side, as my companion." The air around them seemed to freeze. Clara blinked a few times, certain she hadn't heard correctly. "You're kidding, right? Is this some kind of joke?" "It's not a joke." "Ish." He took a step forward, his gaze serious. "You saved my life, Clara. But it wasn't just that. You showed me something I had never seen before, that there is more to life than control, power, and money. I want to start over, and I want you to be a part of it." Clara laughed in disbelief. "Leonardo, you are a billionaire. I'm a chambermaid. What kind of bad movie do you think we're living in here?" "One where I'm being honest," he replied, his voice firm. I know it seems strange, and honestly, I never thought I'd say that to anyone, but you changed something in me, and I won't ignore it." Clara looked at him for a long moment, evaluating every word, every gesture. It was surreal, but deep down, she knew he was telling the truth. "It's okay," she finally said with a playful smile, "but only on one condition." Leonardo frowned. "Which? You will learn to wash dishes, and you will do it right, without complaining." Leonardo laughed, a light and genuine sound. "Closed." The two looked at each other for a moment longer before Leonardo extended his hand. Clara hesitated, but then squeezed her, feeling that for the first time their lives were about to truly change. In the months that followed, Clara and Leonardo embarked on a new journey together. She taught him to appreciate the simple things in life, while he helped her explore possibilities she had never considered. It was an imperfect balance, but it worked. On their wedding day, surrounded by sunflowers and loved ones, Leonardo whispered in Clara's ear, "Thank you for not giving up on me." She smiled, squeezing his hand. "And thanks for finally learning how to wash dishes." They both laughed, ready to face the future together, with love, humor, and a new understanding of what really mattered.